Just like that, my life changed. They told us to go home and wait. It's been weeks and I haven't heard anything since. Zhang Xiaoyu, 29-year-old technician Shenzhen. Factories shuttered, millions unemployed, a government scrambling to hide the cracks. After the US unleashed a wave of crushing tariffs, China's economy is bleeding in ways it can't contain. Is it really an economic attack, as CCP calls it? Why is Shenzhen hit as factories close and jobs vanish? The ripple effects are felt far beyond the industrial zones. For workers like Zhao Lin, who spent nearly 15 years on the assembly line, the collapse has meant the sudden end of a stable life. I used to work in the same factory for more than a decade. I had a good salary, I could support my family. Now, I'm just trying to figure out what comes next. Zhao explains. Zhao and his wife, both laid off in the same week, are now struggling to make ends meet with the few savings they have left. Li Jun, a 58-year-old former factory supervisor who spent his career overseeing production lines, also shared his experience. I never thought I'd be looking for work at my age. The government tells us to stay positive, to find new work. But what new work? Who's hiring people like me? Li has applied to multiple companies, but at his age and with his skill set, the prospects are slim. Across Shenzhen, similar stories are unfolding. Thousands of migrant workers, many from rural areas, came to the city for the promise of steady employment. Now, they find themselves scrambling to return to their hometowns, their dreams shattered. One of them is Chen Rong, a 32-year-old who worked in an electronics factory. I came here 10 years ago, hoping to save money and send it home to my parents. Now, I don't know how to tell them I lost my job. I don't even know how to survive here. As the situation worsens, many are turning to social media to voice their frustration. Posts flood platforms like WeChat, calling for action and expressing anger toward both the US tariffs and the Chinese government's lack of response. But these posts rarely stay up for long. Censorship is swift, and voices of dissent are quickly silenced. Despite the mounting crisis, the government continues to assert that the economy is strong, pushing the narrative of resilience. But for the millions now caught in the economic downturn, these official statements ring hollow. The disconnect between the government's reassurances and the reality on the ground could not be more stark. Official narrative versus unfiltered reality. Factories shut down and production lines stall, the ripple effects are being felt in regions dependent on Chinese goods. For multinational corporations, the tariffs and subsequent shutdowns mean massive disruptions. Companies that relied on affordable Chinese labor to produce low-cost consumer goods are scrambling to find alternatives. Many are looking to Southeast Asia, but even there, the cost of labor and logistics is rising. In some cases, companies are passing those costs onto consumers, leading to higher prices for goods around the world. The tech industry is particularly vulnerable. Chinese manufacturers produce components that are critical for the production of everything from smartphones to computers, and the US restrictions on Chinese tech companies have put a massive strain on this sector. Leading global companies like Apple and Samsung are struggling to source components, resulting in delays in product releases and shortages of popular devices. Meanwhile, the US itself is not immune to the fallout. With China retaliating by slapping tariffs on American goods, industries like agriculture, automotive, and energy are seeing steep declines in exports. American farmers, already struggling under the weight of trade wars, are now faced with the added burden of lost access to the Chinese market. Soybean exports, for example, have been hit particularly hard, with prices falling sharply as a result of tariffs. This global economic turbulence comes at a time when many economies were still trying to recover from the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. The added strain of a trade war, coupled with rising inflation and global supply shortages, has created a volatile economic environment that is threatening to push some countries back into recession. With China's economic slowdown threatening to linger for the foreseeable future, analysts are warning that the world could be facing a long-term shift in global trade dynamics. Countries and industries that once depended on China may be forced to rethink their business models, supply chains, and market strategies. The impact of these changes will likely take years to fully unfold. The storm is just beginning. As China's manufacturing base crumbles and millions of workers face the harsh realities of a collapsing economy, one thing is clear: the worst is far from over. The US tariffs, which seemed like a calculated political move just weeks ago, have ignited a series of economic fires that show no signs of being extinguished anytime soon. In Shenzhen, the once thriving hub of China's industrial power, workers have seen their futures evaporate overnight. Entire sectors of the economy are now in freefall, with mass layoffs and factory closures becoming a daily reality for those who once depended on the steady march of Chinese manufacturing. Despite the Chinese government's claims of economic resilience, the ground truth is starkly different, and the people who have lived through these changes are left to pick up the pieces. But beyond China's borders, the storm is just beginning to hit global markets. The disruption in supply chains, the sudden shift in trade dynamics, and the ripple effects on industries across the world are all signs that we are facing a profound global economic shift. No one is immune from the fallout of this trade war, not China, not the US, and certainly not the millions of people in between. As tensions escalate, the question remains, how long can China's government maintain its narrative of strength while the pain of its people deepens? The road ahead remains uncertain, but one thing is clear, the economic landscape has irrevocably changed, and unless the US and China come